take it away.
Awesome. Hey, welcome SpeedGaming. This is the Axeman, and I'm going to be playing Crystalis any percent, but glitchless. And this game has a lot of cool glitches that are good for a speedrun, but they're all banned. Because this is an any percent glitchless run. Actually, if anyone has any ideas for names, go ahead and drop that in chat. I'm not sure what I should call myself here. No kids hungry? Ooh. Alright, so when this run starts, it'll be, the run starts when our guy gets out of the tube. It takes about 15 seconds here. And, yeah, so Crystalis. The world was destroyed on August 1st, 1997. Do they remember that? The end day? And, well, it looks sort of like a fantasy world. And in this game, our guy wakes up from a tube, from a cryotube. And I have to be very careful not to buy things too fast in the shop, because that would activate a glitch. And we're not using any of those glitches. Because you can actually get items for free, or swap the prices in the store. So this is going to be, you've probably seen a few like action-adventure and RPG games where everyone just ran from all the enemies to save time, and this is not going to be one of them, because we have to level up a certain amount of time. So this is going to be a pretty violent run. I'm going to kill, not every enemy, because some enemies, like, just take too many hits and don't give enough experience to be worth it. But everyone else, the enemies are just going to die. But this is the first area. The enemies aren't too hard. The other big difference is that money becomes important, because there's a glitch that lets you buy items. Actually, once we get to the second town, we'll be able to. You can get items for free with the glitch. But since we're playing glitchless, we actually can't do that. So we need to save money. And that actually becomes important compared to the glitchless run, which can just steal items from the shop as much as we want. Other than that, this early part of the game is going to be pretty much the same. We've got to get up to the level, we've got to increase our level before we go in that cave that we just opened up, or else we won't be able to hit any of the enemies inside. So this is going to be like our first grind loop. And we want to hope that slime doesn't move like that. We're going to save a little time by beating these enemies as we like walk over, so that we don't have to keep killing that slime over and over. That monkey. We gotta get these cheetah men here. So now we're in the cave. We call this the vampire cave because there's a vampire living here. So we do the stabbing. Really, our main sword attack is to stab, and that's what we're gonna do to most of the enemies, just so that we can keep moving. Oh, thanks for the raid. I'm gonna try and keep up with chat here. The time was a little weird, so I couldn't get anyone to commentate, but I know this run pretty well. But this is a obviously very fast-paced game, so it's going to be hard to keep up. So, bit of a safety here, because we're playing without the glitches. I am going to pick up all of the treasure in this cave. The only one that's actually required is that ball ball of wind. But we're gonna pick up some medical herbs and antidotes, because without them, no, we can. Well, actually, this way. Beat this guy. So again, we need to get another level up before we fight the boss of this dungeon. Yeah, and the action is so fast that it's hard to kind of take a break and, and talk. But, alright, so there's our level up. Now we can go in here, finish this boss off. And welcome. I like to take these bats out. Our HP, like managing our health, is a little bit more important, because we need to manage our money and go in the inn and everything. Oh, Sin's here. Okay, so that was kind of like the first mini boss. Now we've got another interesting part. We have to beat these pig dude guys, and they stop and throw axes, which is makes it a little tricky at times. When we got the level up, we got some of our MP back, which is kind of nice. Uh-oh. So we have to grind here for a little bit. I need to not take too many hits, but we need to get up to 215 gold or money. I guess there's a dollar sign there, so that, you know, we actually use dollars. So if you smash the enemies up against the wall, woo, then you can, let's see, we're almost there. If you smash the enemies up against the wall, they, it's a little easier to kill them, because you can just keep stabbing them. There's like some iframes, but it's pretty fast. It's only like 8 frames. Oh no! Okay. I take a death here quite often, but it's not as bad as I think. I'm gonna wait a little bit and let more enemies spawn in. We almost had it. I was just about to head back to our next town. Oh, shit. Use my other herb. And the music for this game is so thumping. One of the reasons I love it. So many years ago, before I did any speedrunning or playing the rando, I did the task for this game, and I actually was the one who discovered some of these glitches. We're almost done. One more pass. You just have to not die here. So we've got this mechanic where we can charge our sword, which is pretty cool. And if you want to stay away from the enemies, you can do that. But then it takes so long to charge your sword that it's kind of not, so good. Alright, so we're back in a town. We can actually get a little break here by stopping for an inn. And we can buy 3 pairs of warp boots. Now, since we can if we can move the cursor quickly from an empty space to a space with an item in the shop, you can actually get it for free. So at that shop, you can pick up warp boots as many as you want for free if you use the glitch. But this is a glitchless run, so we've got to actually pay money for all our warp boots. We don't have a teleport spell just yet. But we do have... Oh, so, and I'm not on a high enough level to hurt these little bug insects. But we can walk through here, get to this town, and get to our next checkpoint. So it's a little weird. The trigger for what we need here was actually just getting that town on our teleport list. And the trigger to get it on our list is actually not right at the entrance. It's a little bit further in. So we actually had to walk in. Now I need to get my level up before we go on here, so... There's our level up, because in the next section... Now, again, there's a really cool glitch to skip this fight, where you use the warp boots right after the fight starts, and you trick the game into thinking that you won. But, no, we can't do that, because that would be a glitch. So, we're gonna have to beat this guy. It's just a duel where we're supposed to stab him, and you can mash the button and push him back. The problem is, the first 2 times, he attacks so fast that you can't actually beat him no matter how fast you stab. The 3rd time, you can barely do it. I'm going to wait for the 4th time to make it because it doesn't really lose much time to wait till the 4th time. The 3rd time, he attacks so fast that it, let's see. So now we can go back to Oak. We have the telepathy spell that he gave us, and the telepathy spell allows us to talk with animals, apparently, just sort of passively, and you can also use it to talk to the wise men, but that's not really something we need to do in the run, so we won't get to see that. But we will get to, we can talk with these people in the town. I guess this is like some sort of, oh man, we're getting bopped. I'm gonna have to take another in visit, but that'll be fine. Bring him back. Yes, Crystalis. This game is so fun. It's... I want to say it's fun casually, but there are some things where... You notice I had to grind, and there's some places where don't have any armor, and so if you know the glitches to buy stuff from the shop for free, then you can pick up armor too for free, which makes things a little easier. So our prize here is going to be the Ball of Fire, which lets us charge the Fire Sword to level 2. And that's pretty nice because with the Ball of Fire, we can actually trick the game. There's a glitch that lets you trick the game into thinking that you have the ability to charge to level 2 on the Sword of Fire. Which we don't have, but... well, now we do. But if you don't have the Ball of Fire, then you can't. And so, because of that, you can actually skip that boss. It's actually going to be maybe less grinding in any percent, because we get to... so, we actually got some experience from that boss. Alright, here's our next grinding sequence. We need to get... Actually, this next part is going to be heavy on grinding. I don't know if there's anything from the host, but it's probably a good time if Any donations or anything they want to plug? So we've got, yeah, we've got some good grinding going on. This grind sequence, we're running around, I guess the basics here is that the enemies, most of the enemies, just keep spawning in. However, in order to spawn, they won't spawn right when you're on, if they're on screen. So they have like a spawning point. And if that spawning point is on screen, they won't spawn. So you have to get their spawning point off screen. And then they can spawn. So that's kind of determines how we move around there, because we need to keep moving to keep their spawn point off screen. So I'm gonna do another trick here. I decided this wasn't a glitch because there's a trigger point that's just past, like just on that side of the wall, and if you just touch that trigger point, that counts as kind of meeting the necessary. It's like a trigger for something that we're gonna need later. So I decided it wasn't a glitch to not blow up the wall. Oh, okay. Now we're doing that. And here's our next grind, these ice zombies. So every time we switch to a different spot for grinding, we beat enemies that are worth more experience. And these ice zombies, like, they take a few hits, but you notice we can just push them along, and so it makes it more efficient. So we kind of pushing them around in this loop. And again, we're going for a certain amount of money, and we're going to be doing some stuff that you wouldn't do in a glitched run. And then I'm going to actually take a pretty big safety that it's like, I don't think it actually, like, takes too much time. Oh, actually, oh, I'm having so much fun grinding these zombies. I probably could have stopped at that point, but we'll do one more. Okay, so now we're gonna jump up here, and this is another spot that you get to skip with the glitches. Okay. Because we need to pick up an item, we need to pick up this tornado bracelet. Okay, so here's the big safety. I had to actually, so it would have saved a little bit of time to walk, to actually teleport back with the kid. He follows you with your teleport. So when we save the kid in the swamp, it would have saved time to use the warp boots there and then just keep going. But instead, I'm gonna use the warp boots there, because otherwise I would have to walk all the way down. So it's not a huge loss, because I would have had to walk all the way back down to the mountain from where the tornado bracelet was. Instead, okay. So instead, I just teleported back, and I was able to buy armor, which is going to be just a huge safety here, because I'm going to take a lot less damage. It's really the armor rather than the... I bought a shield too, but the shield isn't as big an effect. but the armor is huge. And again, I'm going to pick up an item that I didn't have to get, but it's such a nice safety. Actually, I should probably kill some of these guys. I need to get my next level up. No. Okay, I'm poisoned, but that's okay. Because it's not too much further in here. I do have an antidote as a safety, but I'm gonna not use it, just because the poison damage, as you get further, your HP bar gets longer, and so poison is actually less of a big deal. Okay, let's take that off. Wait a minute. Oh, and there we go. Alright, there's our teleport spell. And now we're gonna take our teleport spell. So, notice there's no people in town anymore. And because they've been kidnapped. And we actually have to go there and get that message as a trigger. Because now we can legitimately walk up the mountain to the next dungeon. Oh, right. Next one down. I guess I don't need to be killing these guys. Alright, I'm gonna do a reset here. So when you reset, it clears your status. So I am getting rid of my poison that way. I decided that's not a glitch, it's definitely intentional. So normally there's some cool glitches to get up this mountain without and skip all the triggers. But because we're not using glitches, I actually got all of the requirements to get up here normally, which is kind of onerous. You have to pick up, you have to get that teleport spell, and then you have to talk to the rabbit back in Leaf. We'll jump over these guys into the cave where they can't follow us, and then we're gonna climb up this mountain. This is Mount Saber North. The other Mount Saber was Mount Saber West. This is Mount Saber North, and here's our next grinding session already. And we're gonna have to grind actually quite a while here. So you can see we need 1,200 experience for our next level up, and we get 15 from each of these tentacle things. So 30 each pass. So it's gonna take a little while. So if there's anything from the host, any sponsor messages or anything we want to show, it would be a great time.
Sure thing. We just got a $25 donation for Majora's Mask Credit Warp incentive from Anonymous. Thank you very much, Anonymous Donor, for the $25 donation. I think that closes out our last of the incentives. So congratulations, everyone, for the full complete.
Nice. So this is a point where if you're playing casually, you're probably gonna not beat a lot of the enemies here because a lot of them can poison you on contact, or they're very tanky and can hurt and hit you hard. And so you're probably gonna just not want to fight them. Whereas these plant things, they move kind of slowly. They can poison you if you get too close, but they're not that hard compared to a lot of the other enemies. And they give you 15 experience, so like this is definitely the easiest place to grind. When I was doing the task, I actually found a slightly more efficient spot that required like task level execution to actually pull off because the enemies, it was some of the tanky enemies, but there was a spot where you could actually like push them around and beat them kind of more efficiently. But it totally doesn't work in real time because those enemies they have, well, you'll see, they're like soldiers with swords, and if you're playing in real time, they're gonna stab you and they're gonna hit hard, and it's not gonna work out very well. So we're just going to grind all the way to the next level here. And we need to hit that level to kill the next boss, which is going to take us to the next area. So we absolutely have to have this level. And this is where the game gets a little annoying casually, because if you're playing casually, you don't know what's going on, you're probably going to climb this mountain and not want to beat all the enemies. You're going to get to the boss, and you're not going to be able to touch him. It's going to be a little confusing. But we were able to get that level up, and so now we'll be able to nail this guy. And we'll do it after using our cool jump boots to jump over all these enemies. So it's these soldiers here that are kind of like... The other one that... Well, I can't really recommend grinding on them in anything else but a task, because when they stab their sword, like, randomly, and the hitbox for their sword isn't big, but because they stab it randomly, it's hard to avoid. So I'm going to open that passage. Open that passage. And then we pick up the key to the prison. So you can see you need the level 2 sword charge in order to destroy the walls. And so you have to have the level 2 sword charge. You don't necessarily have to have the ball itself. And so if you're able to use that glitch to get this level 2 sword charge, then you don't have to worry about actually beating that big bug. I'm going to actually use the level 3 wind attack here. I don't know if it's actually, like, saves time, but we've got the ability to do it because we actually picked up that tornado bracelet, so we might as well. Oh, we need the key. So we picked up that key earlier. We don't actually need to talk to the elder. That's the elder for the first village where everyone got kidnapped. And Kelbesk there, the general linebacker, was the guy who kidnapped everyone. There's kind of like, there's 4 main enemy generals. Actually, I'll get that right now. So there's 4 main enemy generals. He's the first one. And we're actually going to have to fight 3 of them twice. Now, there's a cool glitch to skip this whole sequence. But again, no glitches. So, oh wait, but that's not the way. And it's hard to actually remember the route here. I had it down, I thought, but we actually have to go back here, talk to the queen. We have to see, so you have to go back in that tunnel there. Are there any mimics? Stay tuned, because there will actually be mimics in the any % run. Because so the mimics give a lot of gold, and we actually need money because we're not allowed to use the glitches to get items for free. So the extra money from the mimics is actually a thing. And I'm going to unequip my magic so that I can jump again. So the A button, your magic is controlled by the A button. But the A button is also the one you use to jump when you have the rabbit boots equipped. We picked up those rabbit boots at the end of the first cave when we beat that vampire. Alright, so there's a cool glitch here called the statue glitch that you can use to go past those guys. And then you wouldn't have to use this flute of lime to unstone them. But because we are glitchless, that's what I did. We actually got that flute from the queen. You can get another flute of lime from a chest in this cave here, and then there's another stone person you can free, and you'll get an item. But we don't. This is glitchless any %. We don't have to get all the items, only the stuff that we need, and stuff that we want. some stuff we just want. Okay, our next grind session is these Medusas, and even though we've got armor, like, this is still pretty dangerous, because if we get bopped by these guys, they do a lot of damage. If we get turned to stone by their shots, we will probably die, because they can bump into us. So, to make it a little safer, I'm either gonna, like, get them against the wall, and make it, and just stab them, or I'm gonna paralyze them, which is gonna make them totally stop, and much easier to kind of just push around. And then I don't have to worry about their shots. But there you can see I took a hit and got a damage. We can't take too many of those. We do have our refresh spell to restore HP, but we have a limited amount of MP. And because this is glitchless, I'm not able to... Oh man, they're all in one place. Because this is glitchless, I can't just get the warp boots for free. Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna have to do that. And watch my... So we need to get up to 1500. So I have a safety because I've got the magic ring. So we don't have warp boots. The only thing we can do to teleport is the teleport spell, which takes 20 MP. So I need to not use all of my MP. But if I do, I have this magic ring that restores all my MP. So it's a safety I can pull out when I need it. I want to save it if I can. But that's one of the safeties that makes this run quite a bit safer. Okay, 2 more. But I'm out of MP for teleport. And there he is. Oh, okay. Alright. We made it. Okay, so our next, that was the waterfall cave. We picked up the water sword. So there's 4 swords. Wind, fire, water, and thunder. So that was the 3rd one. And that was our next grinding session. We actually get a little break between grinding here. Oh man, how did I... So here we see Rage. If you have the Sword of Water, he gives you something, or he gives you the Ball of Water. And if you go through there, you get a cutscene to meet the heroine. But we don't actually need to see her for anything. It doesn't trigger anything at all. So we're just gonna skip it and move on here. So this next cave, this is the Carissa plant cave. And starting here, we're going to be beating... We're going to have to switch their swords a lot. But on the plus side, we're going to be able to beat a lot of enemies just as we're kind of walking through here. Which means that we won't have to do... We won't actually have to, like, grind one spot over and over. Because we'll be getting experience as we move through here. Now again, I'm poisoned, but we're just going to take that damage, because our life bar is longer now, and when we get through this cave, we'll be able to teleport out, and go to the inn again. If you're really trying to get a good time, then you want to avoid going to the inn so many times, but it's not that much time, so we're still going to be able to get a pretty good time, even if we've got to go in and out to the inn. Oh man... I'm getting bopped around by these guys, but... Oh, shoot. We have to go in and out of the menu a lot more, because we need to switch to our teleport spell and back. When you go to the inn, it heals your poison, and you can also do that reset. When you reset, there's kind of like a checkpoint system where you go back to certain, like the beginning. It's always going to be at the entrance to an area, it kind of like sets a checkpoint that you can you go to if you die. And this is Asina. So she's the queen, she's the fortune teller, and she's also one of the wise men. So we saw Zebu earlier, and then we saw Tornell. Oh, I hit the buttons wrong. So if you do it just right, you can teleport before the dolphin goes off. Oh wait, we gotta beat these guys first. So we're gonna stab these guys on our way as much as we can, just to avoid having to, like, grind in one spot over and over. And I'm gonna equip Paralysis. Paralysis is just so convenient because we can paralyze the enemies. These spider enemies have a paralysis shot. And when we get paralyzed, it means that we can't charge our sword, which means that we can't blow up the walls, which would be bad. We wouldn't be able to get through the dungeon. So we do have a recovery spell that Asina gave us now that lets us recover our status. So we've got that, but what we don't have is a lot of MP. And again, I've got that magic ring, so we've got that safety anytime we run out of MP. Alright, Gozengata, here's your Mimic. I'm gonna beat this Mimic to get some extra money. The Mimic is worth 500 experience, or 500 gold, which is pretty nice. And the reason why we want more golds, remember, we can't glitch. We can't use the shopping glitch in order to get items for free. So we're going to be saving our pennies here. And what we're going to be buying is more armor, because I am not as good as Overswarm, the world record holder for this. He doesn't ever get like any armor at all. I need my armor. We're almost to the end of this cave. And then we get paralyzed. Let's see. If we can get poisoned... okay. So, you can only have one status effect at a time. So, if you get paralyzed and you can't shoot, now we can't blow away the wall. But, if we get poisoned, we'll slowly die, but we can shoot the wall. And we're almost at the end, so I just need to get poisoned, and that basically saved my magic ring for a little bit. So now we're able to buy better armor. We got the fog lamp, we gave the fog lamp to the boat owner, and we get to ride his boat. Talk to Kensu for another trigger, and then we blow the... So, when we saved the dolphin earlier, we gave him a medical herb. And since I'm so cheap, we actually had... It was a medical herb that we had picked up, in a dungeon. And we gave that to the dolphin. We healed him. We had to go in that town for another trigger, so... Just getting it on our teleport list is all we need to do, and the entrance for that town is right in the entrance, so we just needed to step in. If you don't go in the town, and you get the message you won't let you into this cave, and the message says you need to speak with the elder of the town, but actually the trigger is just going into the town. So here is our next grind session. We're going to be grinding up these, I don't know if they're supposed to be jellyfish or turtle shells, but like If you get too close, you get poisoned, which is why I would say jellyfish, but yeah, whatever. But we're going to be grinding here for a little bit. So if there's anything else from the host, it would be a pretty good time again.
Alright, let's see. Well, no new donations, but I would like to point out that this is the SpeedGaming Spring Marathon benefiting No Kid Hungry, a charity with the mission of ending childhood hunger. You can get the donation link by going to speedgaming.org/nokidhungry or clicking one of the links in the chat there. Thank you so much for helping us support a great cause, and congratulations everyone for getting all the incentives finished out, but I do think there's plenty of opportunity to donate for the rest of this marathon, and I appreciate everyone for doing so much to raise money for the kids. Thank you so much.
So I play the rando, and we had a rando tournament not long ago, and I was the top seed in the rando tournament, but I somehow I had some bad luck, made the wrong plays, and got out in I think I only won one game, but it wasn't a huge tournament. And I believe we have another tournament planned for later this year, next year. I think later this year. So it's a lot of fun. If you go to crystalisrandomizer.com, that's our webpage, and it's a very fun rando. And a lot of people that are really into it. So if you post in our live if you post in the live stream window, you'll probably get some people watching. The rando, it has a lot of settings, so it can be challenging, or it can be not so bad. So we're almost done with this grind session, because this is an any percent run, we can actually go on now, because we've got a little bit to go here. So there's a cool glitch to skip this whole dungeon, and you get to skip a pretty big chunk of the game, because you can actually not have to do this whole sequence that's going to kind of remove these whirlpools that block our way. The glitch lets you basically just fly over those whirlpools, which is pretty nice. But again, glitchless. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're actually going to legitimately go through this dungeon. Let's see. That. I think about... So getting the menuing down is another thing that gets your run faster. We're gonna beat these green dragon things. They can paralyze us with their shot, which takes away the... But we don't need to break any walls for a little bit. And if we did get paralyzed, that chest has a fruit of lysis plant that can heal it. Okay, and we're good on experience. Actually, yeah, we're right on track. Welcome. Heal up a little bit here. And keep that, yeah. Okay, so we're in an interesting state at this level. We can hurt the vampire, but we can't hurt his bats. For some reason, his bats have a level higher requirement, but we got to level up on the vampire, and then so as he was exploding, we were able to beat his bats because we were on a higher level. Okay, so we're up to the second of the two generals finally. Her name is Sabera, Sabera the Witch. Okay, and I'm gonna use our cool sword magic. So the third we have 3 levels of charging for each sword. The first one is just sort of like a pretty simple shot. The next one is like a bigger shot, and the last one will be some sort of like real cool magic. And you saw that tornado, the little tornado that we had earlier. This one is it kind of gets this big fire explosion. Okay, we've got 25 MP, enough for another teleport. So because this is glitchless, we need to have a bit of a runaround here. Eyeglasses. So we need to talk to Clark after beating Sabera. Then we need to pick up another alarm flute. Yeah, so the alarm flute, we need to wake up a sleeping guy who is back in here. This is Kensu. He's another one of the wise men, but he likes to slack off and sleep. So we need to wake him up with the alarm flute. I'm gonna hit the end here. Okay. Now we get our friendly dolphin back. We're gonna ride him up to, actually, so we need to use the glowing lamp. The glowing lamp reconstructs the statue of gold. So we had the broken statue. The broken statue came from let's see, where did we get the broken statue? We got the broken statue somewhere in there. And then we got the glowing lamp from Kensu there. And putting the statue on the altar calms the angry sea. We can actually legitimately swim the dolphin through the whirlpools and move on. In the glitched run, you can actually still get the spell there by going, kind of going in the back door. Okay, so our next thing, Kensu, instead of sleeping, he's gonna be slacking off by changing into someone and trying to just pretend he's just partying, because I guess he's one of the wise men who's supposed to be helping us, but he's too lazy, so, but he gave us the change spell, which is going to let us turn into different forms. This time we're going to change into a soldier. And the soldier form lets us sneak by these soldiers, sneak by their checkpoint. We're just going to step into this town to get it on our teleport list. And then we're going to be heading up to another town. Oh man, so it's nice and early here, so I got my coffee ready, but like this game is so fast, there's not much time to kind of like take a break and drink it. And we need to use the change spell again. So you can get past those guys with a glitch, but again, glitchless. So we need to use the change spell to fool them and get into this rebel... This is basically the rebel base, where everyone's is waiting for us. And now we're gonna go back to this town. And the reason why we're going all the way back to this area is because we can... Now we have a Sword of Water. We can build this bridge here. But we've also got the change spell, which will be important in this town, which is called Amazons, the village of women. And because they're all women, we need to turn into a woman in order to get this trade in from the queen. We gave her the Carissa plant that we got much earlier, and the item that we get there isn't important until later. Okay, so now we go back to Shiren. I gotta remember the route here because we're like warping around the world a bit. Also, if you notice, I stopped by the shop in Chiron and I bought a couple more magic rings. And that's going to be even huger safety. At the end, we've kind of got a long, hard final dungeon, and having a few magic rings in our pocket is going to make it pretty safe. I got poisoned by bodying that. I got bodied by that guy, so we need to recover that poison. So also in the basement of the Amazonian... in the basement of the Amazonian Queen, we picked up the Blizzard Bracelet, which lets us charge the Sword of Water to level 3. I wanted to beat that guy for some extra experience because he revealed himself so nicely. Okay, that. We want the key and barrier. So this dungeon, we call it Stixy. There's a bit of a misprint here because the wise man told us, take the key. Well, we have the key is called the key to Stixy. I'm sure they were going for Styx because there's kind of like a, on one side there, well actually on both sides there's some like murky looking water. Alright, so this grind is, we call this guy Bert. And there's a trick where you can jump over Bert. Bert always spawns. So there's actually 2 ways enemies spawn in. Some enemies spawn in as soon as you enter a room. And if they do that, then they won't respawn. But there's other enemies that respawn on a timer. And so they won't spawn when you first enter a room. But as long as their spawn point is off screen, there's this timer that's kind of running in the background. And it's an 8-bit counter, so 256. It counts every frame. So it takes about 4 or 5 seconds. And in that time, there's a certain like point on that timer. When you get to it, it will spawn the enemy. And so if the enemy happens to be off screen, or if the enemy's spawn point happens to be off screen at that time, the enemy spawns in. And the enemies are spawned in even if they're not on screen. So even if the enemy's not on screen, the game is still tracking them, although they may not move. Some enemies do move off screen, and some enemies don't. They just stay still until you get there. But the game is managing all of the enemies that are spawned in all the time. So Bert here happens to be the type that spawns in as soon as the room starts. And normally he would bop you up if you tried to walk back out, but we're able to jump over him with the rabbit boots and grind pretty quickly here. He gives you 672 experience, which is quite a bit, and we can do it over and over again with this little trick. And again, I don't know if it was intended to be able to do this, but I mean, we're just using the rabbit boots and jumping over him, so I'm pretty sure this isn't a glitch. We're taking advantage of the mechanics to jump over this guy. Over and over. And actually, we're almost done with this because we've got a while before we're going to need that last level up, and we'll be able to get some experience beating some other enemies. So now we go through Stixy. Well, we beat this guy. Got all our experience. So this next section is actually going to be pretty close to about the same as if you had the glitches. We're going to need to get through this dungeon. Get past these puddles. If the puddles turn into like that, then we can actually hurt them. When they're just puddles, you can't touch them. So, and they're worth a good amount of experience. So if they do kind of reveal themselves right in my way. Alright, this is the Sword of Thunder, our last sword, and we're gonna get a little bit of a lore dump here. I'm gonna visit the inn real quick here, just for a little safety. That... So we use our barrier spell to get past these statues here. That, and we'll go back. So the teleport message said that if you come back here and save everyone, and Stom is dead. But of course, they're not dead until you actually talk to them. And so that was Mado, the third one of the generals that we need to talk to, and beating him gave us the Ball of Thunder. And so let's see, let's do that, and so with the Ball of Thunder, we can charge the Thunder Sword to level 2. And because of that Thunder Sword, we'll be able to break these stone walls, just like the one that we saw in Goa right before we got that message. We actually had to go in there, even though we couldn't destroy that wall, going in there was a trigger before. So we call this the Oasis Cave. And you don't have to come in here, technically, before, but because we eventually are going to need this power ring here. But all the way in the back of this cave is the power ring. And the power ring is awesome. How did I blow off all my MP already? So we got our power ring. Actually, let's make sure we equip it. So this is the Goa Fortress. And this is going to be a long dungeon that will go on for quite a while. And we'll have to fight multiple bosses. It's just going to be a fun, brutal maze. Let's see, I need to beat 2 more enemies. Well, no, I think 1 more of those guys will do it. We need to get our last level up before we fight this next boss. And there it is. Okay, and for this boss, let's see, we don't really need that. Do that. We'll do that. Oh wait, no, we want barrier. So each of the bosses are only weak to 1 sword. We need him to stop, because then we can kill him pretty quickly. So, all of the bosses, these refight bosses, have different attack patterns. They look the same, but they have different attack patterns compared to the first time we fought them. The first time we fought him on the mountain, he kind of like he was like summoning these snowballs and throwing them around. This time, he just sort of runs around and he fires at us with this beam that we can block with our barrier. So he's actually he's quite a bit easier. And we've got the barrier spell, we can just block it. And we've got the power ring. The power ring like supercharges our sword, making us quite a bit stronger. The enemies will go down faster. In a little bit we're gonna have another grind session, a little bit here, and that'll make it a little faster. So the bosses go down faster, the enemies go down faster. Everything is gonna be great with the power ring. Okay, so we're gonna do that, Actually, well, we don't need that. That guy, we don't need that. Let me equip that. So we got the Fruit of Repin from that guy. We got, what do we call it? It's the Opal Statue. The Opal Statue gives you a one-time auto-revive. So if you equip it, and then you take a death... Oh, it's because I've got the... That's fine. It gives you a one-time revival if you have it equipped. So here is our next grind spot. This one actually won't be that long. We're kind of on the other side from where we need to go to advance and fight the boss in advance, but this grind spot is just so good. We've got these two spiders here we can go between. They keep respawning. And remember, we need to have their spawn spot off the screen, so there's a few things that can despawn the enemies. So you saw the spider fired a shot at me. There's a certain number of slots that the game engine can keep track of the enemies with. And those slots are also used for... So they're used for the enemies. They're also used for coins. And they're used for... they're also used for, like, the enemy's shots. So if the enemy fires some sort of shot at you, that can take up that slot, which will prevent another enemy from spawning. So you see I'm picking up the coins, even though I don't necessarily need the money. We want, and in fact, even the any % run where you can glitch out the enemies, or you can glitch out the shops, you end up picking up the coins quite a bit, because you need to get the coins kind of like out of the picture so that enemies can spawn in. And there is our level up. So, not a long grind sequence at all. I'm gonna heal up here before our next section. I'm gonna switch back to our rabbit boots and jump around a little. And this next section can be pretty brutal. We need to get on these platforms and get through. So there's like a task level glitch where you can, it's only like a 2-frame window where you can just keep jumping. And there's another issue here. Even if I'm like cleanly standing on the platform, if you get hit by the paralysis beam, you will fall through the platform, and it will be inconvenient. So we need to not get hit by the paralysis beam while we're standing on the moving platform. So here's our next refight boss, Mado. And he's going around like a giant pinball wizard. He's insane. But we've got this blizzard attack that's like super strong and very convenient. Okay, okay, good, we got that. Oh, paralysis, that's what we need. He hits hard, he bounces all around, and you just have to do whatever you can. So, notice we haven't actually bought any armor since that armor in Portoa, so that was an important armor buy. So even the world record run has the world record any % run has better armor now than we have because we weren't able to glitch it. So it was and actually, I haven't thought about that being a glitch with the skeletons. So the skeletons normally fall apart every time you attack them, but they, if you paralyze them first, they don't. In fact, they actually lose all of their iframes, and you can kill them pretty quickly. They don't even have any sort of like pushback like most enemies do. Okay, and then we'll equip our barrier spell to get through these statues again. And here's our... This boss is actually not a refight, but he's one of the generals. And this is an any percent glitchless run, so I don't have to get the Thunder Bracelet if I don't want. And I don't want it. I'm gonna... Instead of... Oh no! Okay, I'm gonna have to beat this guy again. But that's fine. It's not... It didn't take very long. I'm gonna heal up a bit. Well, actually, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but... Just because I got bopped by this guy. That never happens. I was kind of... If he's worth a lot of experience if you can get him, but... If you can't, not a big deal. Okay, so there is our last spell, which is Flight. Flight is, of course, very cool. We're gonna teleport back here. This is Mount Hydra, where the rebel town is called Chiron, and this mountain is Mount Hydra. So we need to climb to the top of Mount Hydra and pick up another item that we're gonna need, and we need the Flight spell to get it. So Flight, you get to fly, and when you're flying, the enemies can't touch you physically. You're sort of like above the enemies, so they can't bodily bop you, but their projectiles will still hurt you. So the flail guy's flail will hurt me, but his body won't. And because we're on a higher level, these flail guys are starting to not do so much damage. They're a lot less scarier. And it's so convenient to be able to fly over the enemies. Flight is pretty nice. We also need Flight to fly over this gap and pick up the Bow of Sun, which is an important trigger item that we must have. Alright, next section, we're going to be flying across the desert here, and because we have the Flight spell, we can actually fly over these whirlpools and enter... this cave. So this is the last town. It's called the town of Sahara. I can buy more magic rings. I don't really need them. I haven't used any of my magic rings, so we're lucky with that. And here's our next grind sequence. This is gonna take too long, but we're gonna... And it's also pretty safe, because remember, these guys can't bop us while we're flying, but we can hurt them. I guess I haven't really thought about that as a glitch. It is something that's been patched out in the randomizer, because it's too unfair to be able to hurt the enemies while you're flying. But I'm gonna call that not a glitch. It's not like it's saving us any time or sequence breaking anything, it's just making this grind a little easier.
Well, I got one more donation to read for you.
That's a great time!
It's a great time for it. Alright, we got a $50 donation from Anonymous. Thank you for that anonymous $50 donation.
Thank you. So we're coming up to the end here. This is gonna be... So we have to hit the maximum level of 16. We don't have to hit it just in this grind session, but we'll hit it by the end of the game. We need to get a little over 3,600 or so. And this should be enough. Yeah. We'll call that good. So we're going to get the rest on some enemies that we'll fight on the way here. A few more of those scorpions. Oh, we got turned to stone, but we're flying when we got turned to stone, so he can't touch us. Oh, I wasn't ready. Well, we're poisoned, we better heal it. And we'll use our magic ring to get some MP back. The magic rings, like, they're here because we don't have any more towns or inns or anything, so we're gonna keep using those to recover our magic. We picked up the Psycho Armor, which is the best armor. Oh, we need our flight. So let's see, bow, that. Top of our HP. This is the final dungeon, sort of. We need to beat these statues. So these statues, they shoot at us, but really all we need to do is just use that bow. And that's it. Oh, and we need that. Beat a couple of these guys. And that will get us our last level. So these wizard things are warlocks. They're pretty annoying enemies. They actually have a beam that can turn us into a slime. And if you get turned into a slime, like, it's pretty nasty. You move slow, and you can get really nailed. But it goes away if you go through a door. But we also have the Fruit of Repun that we can use to heal it. Okay, so we've got that. We need the bow. We need barrier. Okay. Might be... Let's see. Let's see what kind of pattern. There's a lot of RNG here. We need him to do a certain attack that opens up his, like, core, and then we'll be able to attack him. Until he does that, well, and there it is. And of course, he's firing lasers at us that whole time he's attacking, so it's, you know, not the easiest thing to do here. Normally, if you're playing casually, I would probably recommend using the Thunderstorm, because it's a lot easier. You can back off, and you get this, it's the level 3 attack for the Thunder Sword, and it's a full screen attack that just keeps nailing everyone. So what happened here was we beat the dragon. He was the, like, he was supposed to be a robot that, like, helped everyone, but he went berserk and turned into the evil emperor that was gonna do, I don't know, I'm not sure what he was gonna do, but it wasn't gonna be good. And because I'm not using the lag storm here, so it's a very laggy attack, which is why I'm not using it. Instead, I'm just going to stab these robots, which is not easy, so I would recommend, you know, using one of the more convenient items, but, I mean, it's not a glitch, so I can skip that Thunder Ring and just do it this way and save some time. It also looks cool, because we're going to stab these robots. I mean, only in Crystalis do you stab the robots instead of, you know, using some sort of cool attack. Recover our MP, use more of these. So we get like little lore dumps in the from these dialogue boxes, but we can just go through them. And coming up, we're gonna get the only scene with the heroine that we're gonna see in this There's only going to be one scene where we see the heroine, who is Misha. This is the only time we see her. There is a cool patch to this game that, so in our randomizer, we have the ability to change the character graphics. And the first one that got put in was being able to play as Misha, which was so cool. I always play as her. But in the vanilla run, it's the only time we see her. So this is the actual final boss. And when the screen goes blank, it's a little anticlimactic, as you can see. And that is Crystalis glitchless. So we destroy the heart of the floating tech tower in the sky. We went from, you know, running around with shooting our swords at monsters and stuff, and somehow ended up on here and just blew away this giant robot. The ending's pretty short here. So that was Crystalis glitchless. But 115, it's about what I expected. So if I had that death in there, otherwise not bad. My best time for this is about a little under 113. So like 2.5 minutes off of the best I've done. We took that. So if you could do all of Mount Saber West in one shot, and then you could use the warp boots in the village, that would be so hard. So instead, I like taking that safety, but that's probably another couple minutes. So I mean, maybe you could get, you know, especially if you can skip the inn more times. I had to go to the inn so many times. So if you could skip the inn a few times, not have any mistakes with other, like, yeah, obviously I died a couple times, but not, you know, you can. That's one reason why this game is a little more doable, because you can, when you die, you go back to the checkpoint. You know, I never saved my game because I was just able to go back to a checkpoint after dying. There is a cool glitch where you can save your game and then reset it before closing the menu, and you can, like, get certain stuff to happen, like get your sword charge level higher. But again, glitches. So anyway, yeah, no glitches, and we finished in an hour 15 minutes. So I want to thank Feasel and everyone for having me. It was great to come in and show this off. And thanks to everyone for donating. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun.